are going to be reading a short story on this episode of Vik and Senpai Read. This one, you better have an inhaler ready if you have asthma, because this one's probably going to make you laugh pretty hard. It's called The Chili Fart.
Okay.
Excuse me.
So I found this while looking with a friend for short stories for a class, and we've read it before, so we both know what happens, but it's still funny. Do you want to start?
Sure.
Okay.
I went grocery shopping recently while not being altogether sure that course of action was a wise one. You see, the previous evening I prepared and consumed a massive quantity of my patented, "You're definitely going to shit yourself" chili. Tasty stuff, albeit hot to the point of being painful, which comes with a written guarantee from me that if you eat the next day, both of your butt cheeks will fall off.
Here's the thing. I had awakened that morning, and even after 2 cups of coffee, and all of you know what I mean, nothing happened. No Watson's Movement 2, despite habanero peppers swimming their way through my intestinal tract. I appeared to be unable to create the usual morning symphony referred to by my next-door neighbors as thunder and lightning. Knowing that a time of reckoning had to come, yet not sure just when, I bravely set off for the market, a local Walmart grocery store that I often haunt in search of tasty tidbits.
Upon entering the store, at first all seemed normal. I selected a cart and began pushing it about, dropping items in for purchase. It wasn't until I was at the opposite end of the store from the restrooms that the pain hit me. Oh, don't look at me like you don't know what I'm talking about. I'm referring to that uh-oh, gotta go pain that always seems to hit us at the wrong time. The thing is, this pain was different. The habaneros in the chili from the night before were staging a revolt. In a mad rush for freedom, they bullied their way through the small intestines, forcing their way into the large intestines, and before it could take one step in the direction of the restrooms, which would bring sweet relief, it happened. The peppers fired a warning shot.
There I stood, alone in the spice and baking aisle, suddenly enveloped in a noxious cloud, the likes of which has never before been recorded. I was afraid to move, in fear that more of this vile odor might escape me. Slowly, oh so slowly, the pressure seemed to leave the lower part of my body, and I began to move up the aisle and out of it, just as an elderly woman turned into it. I don't know what made me do it, but I stopped to see what her reaction would be to the malodorous I don't remember that word.
What?
Malodorous?
Effluvium, I think?
Cloud that refused to dissipate. As she walked into it unsuspecting, have you ever been torn in 2 different directions emotionally? Here's what I mean. I'm sure some of you will be able to relate.
I could have warned that poor woman, but didn't. I simply watched as she walked into an invisible and apparently indestructible olive odor so terrible that all she could do before gathering her senses and running was to stay there blinking and waving her arms about her head as though trying to ward off angry bees. This, of course, made me feel terrible, but then made me laugh. Mistake. Here's the thing. When you laugh, it's hard to keep things clamped down, if you know what I mean. Excuse me. With each new guffaw, as an explosive issue burst forth from my nether region. Some were so loud and echoing that I was later told a few folks in other aisles had ducked, fearing someone was robbing the store and firing off a shotgun. Suddenly, things were no longer funny. It was coming, and I raced off through the store towards the restrooms, laying down a cloud the whole way, praying that I'd make it before the grand mal explosion took place.
Luck was on my side. Just in the nick of time, I got to the John, began the inevitable, oh my god, floating above the toilet seat because my ass was burning so bad, purging. One poor fellow walked in while I was in the middle of what is the true meaning of shock and awe. He made a gagging sound and disgustingly said, "Son of a bitch," and quickly left. Once finished, I left the restroom, reacquired my partially filled cart, intending to carry on with my shopping, when a store employee approached me and said, "Sir, you might want to step outside for a few minutes. It appears some prankster set off a stink bomb in the store. The manager is going to run the vent fans on high for a minute or two, which ought to take care of the problem."
That, of course, set me off again and causing residual gases to escape me. The employee took one sniff, jumped back, pulling his shirt up to cover his nose, and, pointing at me in an accusing manner, shouted, "It's you!" Then ran off, returning moments later with the manager. I was unceremoniously escorted from the premises and asked none too kindly not to return.
Home again, without having shopped, I realized that there was nothing to eat but leftover chili, so I consumed 2 more bowls. The next day, I went to shop at Albertsons. I can't say any more about that because we are in court over the whole matter. Bastards claim they're going to have to repaint the store.
That was my mom chuckling in the background. So, hope you liked this.